"What is truth?" said jesting Pilate, and would not stay for an answer. That saying, often quoted, comes from an essay on truth by the 17th century philosopher and statesman Francis Bacon. A question from Pilate that comes in St. John's Gospel, chapter 18, verse 38. And we are left to wonder, like Bacon, as to what Pilate meant. The tone can often be something that gives it away. Bacon seems to assume that he was being semi-contemptuous. Don't talk to me about truth. The only truth is power. I suppose equally the tone could be a more quizzical, world-weary one. Amongst all the burdens of Roman provincial administration and authority, what has truth come to mean? Well, Pilate will always be a bit of a mystery. He's an unavoidable and unpleasant part of the events of Holy Week, though sometimes, bizarrely, he can be viewed sympathetically. He, after all, can't see what this wandering preacher has done that deserves death. So he tries to get him off, tries to get him out of his jurisdiction for a start, send him to that useless puppet Herod. Well, that didn't work, but at least afterwards he managed to establish a working relationship with Herod. So try to invoke these wretched people's own rules and release this man as the Passover prisoner. But that backfired. His wife had had that strange dream warning him to have nothing to do with this man. So he publicly washed his hands of him and handed him over. Well, don't get too sympathetic. This was a governor who had already established a ruthless and brutal reputation. He might have washed his hands of Jesus, but he still casually handed him over to be brutally flogged. The arguments go on as to whether he would actually have ceded jurisdiction in this way, or was the story told to heap blame in another quarter? And has that had some terrible and unforgivable consequences in the past of scapegoating the Jewish people? Perhaps in the end, Pilate stands for all those for whom the end justifies the means, who might regret what they're doing, but are far more fearful of the consequences of being seen to have failed. I was only obeying orders. That sad phrase that so often tries to justify moral failure. He is an awful warning to all of us. We've heard a lot about truth in recent weeks. People come up with the phrase, "What is your truth?" as if somehow truth is a personal matter, and if my truth is different from yours, then we just have to live with it. Some would say there are no truths, just clashing motives. Holy Week says there is truth, and that truth is found in the Lamb who goes to the slaughter. The truth that this is God's world that is redeemed in God's love. That all the cynicism, pragmatism, rule-bound abuse of power that is very evident in our world today will still be overcome in the resurrection hope we celebrate at Easter. What is truth? Truth is what we will say in 3 days' time. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed.